If you've ever wished you had a podcasting pro with nearly a decade of experience whispering growth secrets into your ear, that's exactly what you'll get when you tune into Podcast Growth Tools with me, your host, Kylie Chandler. This is the ultimate show for you if you're ready to grow your podcast audience, skyrocket engagement, and turn your show into a traffic-driving, list-building powerhouse. I've been in the podcasting world since 2015, helping creators like Amy Porterfield grow their shows to over 1 million downloads a month. My superpower? Breaking down proven podcast strategies and marketing techniques into step-by-step guidance you can actually implement without fluff, overwhelm, or guesswork. On this show, we're getting real about what actually moves the needle when it comes to growing your podcast audience and using it to boost your email list growth. From actionable insights and expert interviews to behind-the-scenes secrets, I'll help you turn your podcast into a traffic-driving, list-growing machine. Grab your earbuds, hit subscribe, and let's take your podcast to the next level. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Growth Tools. So I have to know, wouldn't it be amazing to drive traffic to your podcast while gaining new subscribers? Even more so, wouldn't it be exciting to let your past podcast episodes create your lead magnets for you? Well, you're in luck because today's episode is giving you a framework that actually works and will support you in doing just that. Meaning it's going to help you create a handful of lead magnets quickly and easily and use your valuable podcast content as a way to gain new subscribers. So welcome back to Podcast Growth Tools. I'm Kylie Chandler, and the strategy I'm sharing with you today is something that can completely transform how you grow your podcast audience and your email list. Now, if you know anything about me, you know that this is such an important piece to my business and to how I support other people is helping them understand the importance of growing their podcast and their email list simultaneously because they really, really do go hand in hand. So what we're talking about today is called the Magnet Magic Framework. And trust me, once you set this up, your podcast will become a lead generating machine. Now, before we dive into all of the juicy details, let me say this. I'm walking you through a lot today. But if you want a step-by-step, done-for-you system to make this happen without any guesswork, you have to get on my email list, okay? Because I am putting together a done-for-you course where I'll help you set all of this up quickly. You'll get templates, you'll get swipe files, all the good things. So if you want that, make sure that you're on my newsletter, on my email list. You can head to podcastmarketinghub.com/subscribe to get on my newsletter and to be the first to hear about this course and when it's live. All right, let's start at the top. What is the Magnet Magic Framework? So, this framework is all about turning your podcast into a powerful lead generation tool by creating irresistible lead magnets that not only drive downloads, but also build your email list at the same time. Think of it as a system that makes your content work for you, bringing in the right listeners, converting them into engaged subscribers who are already invested in what you have to say, and then turning them into lifelong customers. Here's why this matters. Most podcasters focus on growing downloads, but downloads alone don't necessarily build a business. What does? Owning your audience. And that's exactly what this framework really helps you do. Turn casual listeners into subscribers that you can nurture over time and then eventually introduce your products. So the framework is really broken down into 5 structured phases that we're going to go through. So number 1, we're going to talk about brainstorming and identifying. So finding the best lead magnet ideas based on your audience's needs, desires, identity marketing, and then your business goals as well. 2, create the content. So develop the lead magnet in a format that's engaging and easy to consume. 3, automate and deliver. So setting up a really seamless system that ensures your audience receives and engages with your lead magnet. 4, promote and engage. So drive consistent traffic to your lead magnet and turn new subscribers into loyal listeners. Test and optimize. So continuously analyze and improve your strategy to maximize conversions. If you know me, if you've been listening, you know I'm all about tracking and then identifying what's working, optimizing, doubling down on that. So, of course, that's part of this, right? So each of these phases is crucial. And when done right, they can create a self sustaining system that grows both your email list and your podcast audience without a ton of extra work. Like, obviously, there's work up front, but really, if you set yourself up for this strategy and start to implement it, it will flow so easily. Now, I'm going to walk you through the big picture strategies that you can start implementing pieces of this today. But if you want the complete done for you system, you have to get on my email list. So that's going to include templates, automation walkthroughs, everything that will be easily set up so that all you have to do is plug and play, make sure it works for you and your business, and then push publish. So be sure to get on my email list if you want to know when that comes out. That is podcastmarketinghub.com/subscribe. And one thing I want to share with you is that I was able to perform this strategy while working with previous clients, previous companies, and we saw huge returns. Not only did we start to see more of the people visiting our websites uptick, so people who came to our websites were now getting on our email list because we were putting in front of them something they wanted without a question. So I go to a lot of entrepreneurs web pages and there's not really a pop-up or there's not a banner or an embedded form on their most visited web pages, which blows my mind. So I'm going to show you how to do that strategically. So not only are you getting those people on your email list, but you're also sending them to your podcast to get more downloads, to grow your audience, all that good stuff. And then beyond this, another kind of back end part, once we get everything created, you can set this up. You can use these lead magnets to set up for Instagram or wherever you want to use mini chat. And then you can start using them as a mini chat flow to gather email subscribers and to drive people to your podcast. And I was able to do this with Natalie Willis, who is School of Bots. And so we did it for Amy. And we had one of these perform at like 95%. So not only did it give us a great ROI and a great amount of people signing up for the email list, it also allowed us to identify what types of content resonated most with our audience and what they wanted more of. Okay. So keep those things in mind as well. All right. So, first stop, let's talk about phase one. This phase is all about brainstorming and identifying. So, basically, we have to start at the top. We have to figure out what the perfect lead magnet topics will be based on your audience's needs, identity, their goals, their desires. However, the way we're going to do that is by thinking about our podcast episodes and putting them into a bundle that delivers on what they need for those desires, for those goals, for the identity that they are cultivating. There are some questions that you can be asking yourself when you're trying to identify what kind of bundles you're going to create. So, when I say bundles, basically the lead magnets that you are going to create for this strategy are simply bundles from your podcast episodes. So, I'm guessing if you have a podcast that is related to your business in any way, you have topic pillars essentially. So, for me, I support people with organic growth marketing strategies, right? So when I start to think about the bundles that I could have a website and lead magnet optimization bundle. I could have a guest and co marketing bundle. I could have a quiz creation bundle. However, maybe you're somebody who focuses on dog grooming. So maybe you could have a bundle about how to take care of your animals in the changing seasons. You could have a bundle on how to avoid your dog's shedding. I don't know, things like that. So be thinking about what your topic pillars might be, and that will help you figure out what bundles you should create. Beyond that, what's going to also help with this is by asking yourself some of the following questions. So, number one, what challenges do my listeners face? Again, if you're a dog groomer, your listeners probably have issues with their dogs shedding in between appointments. I know I do. So, to be able to put together a bundle where you're talking about episodes with different tips on keeping the shedding at a minimum or something like that, that would be a great bundle. The next question is what are my most popular podcast topics and episodes? So, really simple. You just got to pull the downloads from Apple, Spotify, figure out your top performing episodes. That will also give you ideas for what kind of bundles you want to create and you should be creating, right? What's the most popular content that your audience is consuming? Put that into a bundle to attract more of those people. Boom, you've got it. So, lastly, ask yourself, how can I align my lead magnets with my highest performing content? So, again, if you go and you look at your downloads, you're going to start to see themes, right? I would recommend coming up with 3 to 5 bundles that you can create and then you can test. So, as we're going through these questions, as we're going through today's episode, be thinking about 3 to 5 topic bundles based on your pillars or based on the trends that you are seeing within some of your top performing episodes to support you with really understanding what you need to be asking yourself and then getting those thoughts on paper, I'm going to give you a free gift. So be sure you go to podcastmarketinghub.com/brainstorm and I'm going to actually give you the questions that I have my students and my clients answer to really hone in on what are my bundles that I use for my lead magnets. So, again, podcastmarketinghub.com/brainstorm. And I will give you the questions so that you can print it out, you can write it out. Type it out, whatever you need to really work through figuring out what bundles and then how those are going to be your lead magnets. Okay, let's move on to phase 2. So that means we have to create the content. So now that you've nailed down your lead magnet ideas, your bundle ideas, we're going to use that interchangeably. It's time to actually create them, right? Put them into something pretty. So there's a couple ways that we can go about this. One, you can keep it so simple. And what I mean by that is you don't even create a PDF. You don't even create anything besides an email where you link them up to the episodes within the bundle. So if you have 5 episodes in this specific bundle, all you need to do is craft an email where you list out the 5 episodes. That can be the delivery of your lead magnet. Now, I think that's great. I think it's perfect. If you're trying to be quick about it, I think that's a good starting point. If what I'm about to share is going to slow you down in any way, then go with that. Go with that first one that I just shared. The second way that you can do this is to design something really pretty, just like you would for any other lead magnet, right? So you are going to go into Canva, you're going to create a visually appealing PDF that is going to list out the bundle. Maybe you have an intro note to them, maybe you have information about who you are, your business, where to find you. You can include what your podcast is, how to follow, how to subscribe, where to find it, all that good stuff. So that is something that you can do. Also, something that you can actually do for either of these is to go in and create a Spotify playlist so that it's really easy for somebody who listens on Spotify to just go to the playlist and download the episodes. Okay. So that is kind of something that I always recommend doing. It doesn't take very long to put together a Spotify playlist, and it's really a way to go above and beyond. I want to take a note and mention the PDF that you're designing. So, when you are thinking about creating this design, remember the point of getting them there is to give them your podcast episodes. Don't get too fluffy with the design. Don't put too much extra content, okay? If you do a welcome note, make it short, make it sweet, and then get them into the playlist. And what I recommend doing is having a link for Spotify and for Apple. And if you have a third platform that is very popular for your audience, maybe it's YouTube, maybe people love to listen on Amazon Music, include that. So you can make it really visually beautiful by putting the title, and then you can do like an icon for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then if you want, and if you find it necessary, a third one. If you just have the Apple and Spotify one, I highly recommend that. It's nice, it's clean, it's not too cluttered, and you can just literally have them going straight down the page. So it's very clean. So that is what I would recommend. Also, if you can, I would consider creating some sort of pretty link for each of the episodes if you have the time and the space and the capacity for doing that. because that can also give you a peek into which episodes within the bundle are performing well. So, a little pro tip for you, like I said, a lead magnet does not have to be a massive book. You can literally create such a simple playlist. And since we are creating 3 to 5 of these lead magnets to test out, you can literally create one and then just swap out the text for a different playlist. So keep it really simple. Don't drag your feet or not take action on this because you feel like it's too much. So create one template and then just swap out the text, swap out the episodes, all that good stuff. All right, phase 3. Now we're going to talk about automating and delivery. Let's make sure that your lead magnet is being delivered effortlessly. It's all set up for you. It's a very great user experience for your audience. So, first things first, we have to figure out what web pages are being visited the most. So, yes, you do need a website for this strategy. Mostly. You could do it without a website, but I highly recommend having a website for it. So, all you need to do is you can go into Google Analytics, you can pull your top performing web pages. You might be surprised. You might find that these web pages are your contact me page, or maybe you have a careers page, or maybe it's one of your previous show notes pages. Like those could all be great, highly visited and visible pages. If you've been doing SEO work for your show notes pages, you're probably seeing some of those do really well. So make a list, start to identify anywhere from depending on how big your business and your website is, anywhere from 10 to 50 of your top performing web pages. From there, you're going to figure out what bundles are going to go on what pages. I would recommend trying to align them as best as possible, meaning the content isn't way out in left field for that specific web page. Okay. So, for example, if you have a careers page, maybe you have a podcast episode on what it's like to work for you or what it's like to be on your team or what your journey to entrepreneurship or something like that was, that feels like it could be a good episode or part of a bundle for that specific page for a pop up or something like that. And actually, I want to say something right now that I didn't say earlier that I should. And that is that sometimes your bundle can be one episode. It doesn't even need to be a full bundle. It doesn't need to be 5 episodes. It can literally be one that you deliver, like I said, the really simple way in an email. It doesn't have to be on a pretty PDF that somebody might go to that careers page and go, gosh, I'd really be interested in working for XYZ. And then you have the pop-up that says, 10 things that it's like to work for me or 10 ways to get noticed when you're looking to be hired, whatever. They sign up for it. All you do is deliver an email that has a link to the episode that says, "Hey, I saw you want to learn more about the best 10 ways to interview," or something like that. And then you just give them that podcast episode. It can be really as simple as that. So play around with this. That's why I say let's plan for 3 to 5 of these because you'll test different things to see how they do. So basically, you are going to figure out on each web page how you want to do this. So you can do it as a pop up. So that means when you're on somebody's web page, something would pop up and say, "Hey, get this free whatever, this free bundle." You can do it as an embed form. So that means that it would be embedded into the content of the page. You can also do it as a banner up at the top. So there's lots of different ways. Like I said, play around with these, test them, and see what works best for that page and for that topic. So you'll just want to create those in your email service provider or on your web page, however you prefer to do that. Then you're going to set it up for a nurture sequence. So I really hope at this point you have a welcome sequence. So what you can literally do is send them the delivery email and then let that lead into a nurture sequence. Because if they're new to your list, you always want to be nurturing them. You want to give them a welcome sequence that introduces who you are, what you're all about, what your podcast is, how to find your podcast, all that good stuff. So, of course, that is the whole process, and that's how we move forward with it. So, that brings me to something that I want to say, and that is that this is where a lot of podcasters drop the ball. I've shared with you guys before, I've talked with big name podcasters. I've worked with big name podcasters, and some do not have a strong email list. And I am mind blown. Like, this is where we need to be paying more attention. You need to get people onto your email list, and using the strategy is such a powerful way to do that. So, once you get them on your email list, you also have to nurture them. So, make sure that you're doing that. Not only are you getting them from your podcast to your email list, but you're getting them from your email list into a nurture sequence so they become part of your community. So, make sure you guys have that set up. And listen, if you guys need more help with this, be sure you're on my email list. Like I said, I'm creating a done for you course where I'm going to have swipe files. I'm going to have an email template that you can use to put all of this together. Done for you, super easy. Be sure you're on my email list, podcastmarketinghub.com/subscribe. Okay, let's get going. With phase 4, we're going to talk about promoting and engaging. Okay, so now that your lead magnet is live, it's time to really start to drive focus and drive people to it. So, like I said, you're going to have those pop ups, you're going to have the embed codes, maybe a banner. On top of it, you can take it so much further than that. You can create dynamic or baked in ads for your podcast. So you have these bundles created. Why not use them more than just on your website? You can literally be talking through a podcast and be like, hey, by the way, guys, if you're interested in this, you want more, I put together a bundle of my top performing podcast episodes. Be sure you grab it at yada yada yada.com/bundle or whatever it might be. So use that as a baked in ad or dynamic ad on your podcast to drive those podcast listeners to your email list. And then lastly, if you use anything like mini chat, like an automation, go ahead and use it on your social media. So you can do any type of post. It can be a carousel, it can be a reel, it can be a video, it can be a story that says comment bundle. And I'm going to send you my top performing episodes related to whatever the subject and the topic is. So again, use this way beyond your website, but the fun part is that you are able, and if you have 3 to 5 of these, you can literally use them so many different places and really start to see what aligns. By the way, for the Done For You course, I'm going to have a mini chat flow chart for you to help you really understand what this journey should look like for the people who are commenting bundle or whatever it might be, what kind of journey it should look like for the mini chat flow. Okay, we are getting there. So phase 5 is test and optimize. So finally, we have to make sure everything is working and improving over time. So that means we need to be paying attention to our signups, our conversion rates, our engagement rates every single week. This is where I really like to test out different options. So I have these 2 bundles live. They're both running in different spots. I'm going to see which one performs the best. Or maybe you just focus on one bundle per week or every 2 weeks. Depends on how big your audience is. If you have a really big audience, you can get some good data within the first week. If you have a smaller audience, 2 weeks is probably a little bit better of a time frame. But be sure that you're tracking all of this stuff to see what kind of conversions you're getting. Not only is this going to help you understand which bundles are obviously performing best and you should continue to use or maybe tweak them slightly, it's also going to show you what kind of topics are really juicy to your audience or to your ideal customer, right? So you might have 5 different bundles with 5 different topics, and 2 of them performed really, really well, 3 of them didn't. It might mean that that topic just doesn't resonate as much. So it can also be a really good way to start understanding how to create other types of content in your business. Also, part of my Done For You course, I give you guys a tracking grid template that you'll just copy, make your own, and it's all laid out for you beautifully. So you know what to be tracking, how often to be tracking, how to organize the links that you need to make it really quick and easy for you to track. So all that good stuff. So again, via my newsletter, podcastmarketinghub.com/subscribe. Okay, my friends, we did it. We made it. I know there was a lot of pieces to this, and I hope that you understand the gist and the overall strategy here so that you can maybe start playing around with it on your own and eventually, start turning those podcast listeners into subscribers and website visitors into not only subscribers, but also podcast listeners. Like it's all integrated together. This is marketing, right? So let's recap the 5 phases really quick. So brainstorm and identify, first step, create the content, second step, Third step, automate and deliver. Fourth step, promote and engage. And then lastly, test and optimize. Listen, this strategy works, but you have to have the right systems in place that will make it so much easier. And again, I can't emphasize enough, you have to be tracking, you have to be paying attention to how this is performing. So now, if today's episode got your wheels turning at all, make sure that you are on my email list because, like I said, that Done For You course is on its way. It should be up and running soon, and I would love to share it with you when it is so that I can give you the templates I use, the swipe files, the mini chat flow, all of the good things, my tracker, so that you can just easily put this into place quickly. So you can get there by going to podcastgrowthtools.com/subscribe. And then I also want to mention, remember I said that I am putting together the questions that you can print off, you can write, you can answer to help you identify and really brainstorm what lead magnets and bundles you should be creating. So you can head to podcastgrowthtools.com/brainstorm and you can get those as well. So I have a lot of goodies for you guys. Be sure that you're on my email list. No matter what, I want you there. I am giving you industry secrets, behind the scenes strategies, all of the things that are working. So get on my newsletter. Can't wait to see you there. And of course, if you loved this episode, please share with a friend, leave a review, make sure you're following, subscribed, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. So until next time, we'll see you then.